The following is an exclusive presentation of Blaze Sports.
Live from Tempe, Arizona, Memorial Union, here for another edition of Blaze Gameday. I'm Koby Braunstein alongside Jordan Talley, Colgin, Hirschel. Guys, a really exciting weekend of Arizona State sports. We kick off with a Territorial Cup matchup between the Sun Devils and the Wildcats at Desert Financial Arena. Both these teams have already played once. About a month ago, it came at the McHale Center, and the Sun Devils, as they've done all year long, they took care of business in that one. They've lost just 3 games so far this season, continuing their dominance. They've won a couple in a row after falling on Halloween at Iowa State and Ames, and they're riding on a high, as are the Wildcats, but just a huge matchup that both these teams are colliding for on Thursday.
Yeah, two straight matches that ASU has won after the Iowa State loss, 3-1 win against BYU and a sweep against Texas Tech. 14 of the last 15 for the Sun Devils following that Iowa State or the Texas loss in September. So they've been playing really well as of late, and they're going to look to keep it going in the Territorial Cup.
I mean, this ASU volleyball team continues to prove that they're one of the most dominant teams at Arizona State. And, I mean, they're undefeated at home, 11-0. And, I mean, they're going to continue that push as it comes towards the end of the season for that Big 12 championship and even further to the postseason. So, yeah, this team's got a lot of work to do by the end of the season. But, yeah.
J.J. Van Niel in year number 3 with the Sun Devils, off to a historic start within these first 2+ years. He's 11-0 at home this season. He's 33-2 at home. That advantage has really played a huge factor in ASU being dominant under him. They're the number 8 team in the country. They've had some really impressive victories so far this season, and maybe none bigger than August 31st, the second game of the season, in Pennsylvania. You could say basically enemy territory at the defending national champion Penn State Nittany Lions. Took care of business, 3-1. They fell the next day to another dominant opponent in Pitt that has a storied volleyball history. And then they've taken care of business as well in a lot of their Big 12 slate. Officially 11-1 in conference, that only loss against Iowa State, and they're looking to continue their win streak and up it to 3 tomorrow against the Wildcats.
Yeah, and that's just what contributes to that number 8 ranking in the nation. I mean, they have so many of these impressive wins against ranked opponents, and you look back at that Penn State is probably the biggest of the season, and yet it keeps getting better for this Arizona State team. They've only lost 3 matches all year. Obviously, Iowa State just a couple weeks ago, but if they can pull out a couple more wins here at the end of the season and keep the riding the hot hand, I mean, I think this team could go really far in the playoffs.
I think another important thing to look at, too, is that these losses have not been detrimental. I mean, they were swept against Pitt on September 1st. At the beginning of the season, they have not been swept since, I believe. I correct myself. They were swept against Texas. But they, like you said, Colgin, they have been absolutely dominant since then, and their only loss since September 14th is against Iowa State in Ames, and they even pushed that to a set 5. So they won in 5 sets. It's not like they're constantly being swept or these are big, devastating losses when they do happen. And then when they're powerhouse teams. I mean, they were swept by number 2 Texas and obviously the defending national champs.
And not only individually do they have some incredible players, but team-wise, they're leading the Big 12 Conference in numerous very important categories. They have 2.84 blocks per set, hitting percentage of .263, and nationally amongst the best in terms of hitting percentage, basically the same as field goal percentage for basketball, if you want to make that analogy. They have been so good in those type of team situations when it's got down to the end of the sets and being able to take advantage. And not only that, but getting off to some quick starts. There's been some times where they've built off of runs of 8 or more points in a row. And once you're able to do that, get momentum on your side, continue to be serving, at that point you can ramp up the lead, and that's what they did at the University of Arizona McHale Center. That's a raucous environment. We know what it's like for basketball, and they bring that same energy every year for volleyball. And the Wildcats right now, 14-9 this season. They're 8-3 at home. That's one thing to look at. They're just 4-5 on the road, 2-1 in neutral site games. So that's the official spread in the 23 matches for the Wildcats. But most importantly for them, they're 8-5 in conference and looking for a huge number 9 win and huge ninth win in terms of conference play in what will be a very pretentious environment tomorrow.
Yeah, and you kind of hinted at it, just how impressive they've been as of late. 3 straight in a row. But before that, it was 3 straight losses. So they're kind of up and down throughout the season. It's been kind of hard for this team to really string together a whole lot of wins. You look back at their schedule, it's win, loss, win, loss, win, loss for U of A. And so them putting together 3 impressive wins in a row as of late, I think is going to be really important heading into this matchup against Arizona State, as they are going to need a lot of momentum in order to be able to defeat a top team like ASU.
And, I mean, I don't think you can mention this ASU offense without mentioning Naomi Glover. She's been a huge force for this. Only in her first season at Arizona State, up to 277 kills so far on the season. And I don't think she hasn't had a game with less than 10 sets since September 21st. So she's going to be a big name to watch out for the Sun Devils as they continue to push for the postseason.
They have some incredible outside hitters. Obviously, Noemi Glover, as you mentioned, Bailey Miller, and for Glover in particular, double-digit kills in the last 12 matches, and that's against some of the toughest competition in the country. She's proved that in year one, she's able to take on that leading role up front. Anytime they're able to get the ball over to their side, they're looking to rotate it over to her, and she's able to send it down for those really important points that they're able to get on their side. Sun Devils are 20-3 on the season. Again, we mentioned them being 11-1 in conference last year, making the NCAA tournament. This year, they're looking to host, and in terms of the crowd that they've had at their disposal, not only have they had the home field or home court advantage in terms of winning every single match, but they've had a big turnout, especially for volleyball. You don't really expect a lot of people in the upper bowl per se, but they've gotten over 3,000 fans in 6 matches and over 4,000 in 4 matches. And I mean, what more can you expect going into a Territorial Cup matchup that people are going to show out?
Yeah, there's not a lot more you can ask for.
So ASU volleyball, a big matchup tomorrow. The number 8 Sun Devils take on the Arizona Wildcats. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere here from Memorial Union to talk more about ASU sports. Back here live at Memorial Union to women's basketball we go. It's a Molly Miller era officially. It is underway. They are 2-0 on the season, and they have been nothing short of dominant. And they now have a little bit of a road swing. They head to San Diego, California before playing against the Santa Clara Broncos on Sunday. But first order of business is against the San Diego Toros. I love that mascot name. And the Sun Devils under Molly Miller, they have been known for defensive intensity. 15 steals that they've averaged per game as a team within the first 2 matchups that they've had against lower competition. San Diego was, I would say, within that same bracket, but you have to take every team as they come, and you have to prepare the same way.
Yeah, and it's just a much different feeling around the basketball team this year. It kind of goes with the men's team as well, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But just with Molly Miller coming in this season, it's been such a different vibe for the team at DFA. And obviously what happened last year with all the drama with both teams, like, you're gonna have a different feel this year for sure. But bringing in Molly Miller, it's almost a youth movement, a little bit of a breath of fresh air into the Sun Devils team.
Yeah, Colgin. I mean, you can feel the culture shift, not only with the team, like you've said, but also with, the students at ASU. I mean, people are excited to go out to these women's basketball games, see them play, and it's only been better that they've actually started very well, kind of living up to that hype, essentially, so far. And yeah, I mean, Molly Miller is just bringing a whole new environment and atmosphere to DFA and this Sun Devil squad. So that's been kind of really cool to see, especially after a season like last season.
Yeah, through the first 2 games for both men's and women's basketball, there's been a lot of very impressive takeaways, especially with those 2 teams being built almost from the ground up, considering what the Sun Devils brought back with Molly Miller, just 1 or 2 scholarship players, and then for Bobby Hurley, just 1 player on scholarship that didn't even start the season with them last year. It was Trevor Best, who was just 17 years old and finishing out high school. These are the looks that Arizona State has gotten from having a totally revamped roster, obviously a brand new head coach in Molly Miller, but no short of experience. What she was able to do at GCU was incredible, able to bring that school to new heights, and Grand Canyon also moving to a much bigger conference. They now have not opened play in the Mountain West Conference, but that's the conference they moved to after being in the WAC for so many years. And Molly Miller now taking the reins of a Power 4 program, and they haven't reached Big 12 play yet, but again, very impressive. Nothing short of that through their first 2 games against Coppin State and against Eastern Washington. And it'll be a little bit different now with this road swing, San Diego and Santa Clara, but multiple players are able to get it done in the scoring department, and we've already talked about that intensity defensively.
Yeah, and it's just the depth of this team from the scoring standpoint. 3 players averaging more than 10 points on the court to start the season. I know it's only been 2 games, so it's a very short sample size, but it's been impressive to see the depth that this team has been able to display early in the season. And they're going on a 2-game road trip. They're coming back home for 4 straight at DFA. So they're going to have a lot of fun playing in front of the fans for a decent amount of time after they come back from California.
I mean, yeah, and if we look at it, these have been pretty decent wins as well for them. I mean, that first matchup kind of closer, and then they kind of took it away in that second half there. You know, just an absolutely stellar win against Eastern Washington, almost a 20-point deficit there. But, I mean, yeah, there's a lot to look forward to with this team and how they kind of shape out, especially as you get into conference play.
Yeah, and you need stuff like that. You need a good start to a season with a new coach, or else your team's not going to have confidence. They're going to say, oh, is this the right person? Is this the right person to lead us through these seasons? That was very important to get 2 good wins at home before they go on this road trip.
Yeah, the next thing I wanted to get into was almost exactly that, the human aspect of just building a new team and what the environment and the chemistry could be like in just the first 2 games or the preseason, where Jordan and Colgin, we don't all have to know exactly what's going on behind the scenes with Molly Miller and co. But what we do know is that they have this mesh of players from all over the country. Gabby Elliott is in her 6th year of college eligibility, take advantage of a COVID year and another injury-prone year that she had coming via Penn State, and Marley Washington's coming from the same state, but instead for her at Pittsburgh. McKenna Bracken's coming from UNLV. So many players from different conferences, different backgrounds, and what would you say in terms of the human aspect could be the easiest parts or the most difficult parts about the camaraderie within the first couple games of coming from all these different places?
Well, it's a much different feeling. Natasha Adair wasn't the most friendly person in terms of all the season. I mean, you've seen Molly Miller at the beginning of the season. She was greeting the fans in the student section after their first win. She did that a lot at GCU too. Yeah. It's completely different. Absolutely completely different shift. And it sometimes works out for the better. The players might like you. Sometimes they might think it's too much. And I think in this case, it's a perfect fit for Molly Miller.
I mean, once again, just hammering on that Molly Miller. She makes, I guess, that community vibe so important. She's been out to volleyball games, football games. I'm pretty sure she's just been so involved in becoming a part of that like Sun Devil culture. I think that has been really important for this team, and that atmosphere shift after, like you said, a kind of rain that was kind of a little bit of a downer for the most part. So yeah, I mean, she's just really out there getting involved in the students and the student body and everything of what it means to be a Sun Devil. I think Molly Miller is trying to embody, and I think that's so important to this team's success as well.
And the reason why we're here right now is because we love sports, and we see success in so many different fashions. We've seen Molly Miller's kids around basically the entire Sun Devil community in terms of them coming on the court with players and the interactions that they've had even with Graham Orsini and their kids. It's so amazing to see the light and the joy that Molly Miller has brought into this program after what Sun Devil women's basketball has been through the last couple of seasons. And next, after a quick break, we'll move to men's basketball and see what Bobby Hurley has in store with a massive matchup on tap Friday against Gonzaga. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Memorial Union in Tempe. All right, guys, so volleyball down, women's basketball, been there, done that. Now we're going to talk about men's basketball, men's hoops, and Bobby Hurley and company in year 11. A massive matchup on Friday against the Gonzaga Bulldogs. They looked impressive is the one word that comes to mind. Last night against the Creighton Bulldogs, at one point in the second half, they went on a 21-0 run, and they scored 30 points with Creighton only scoring 7 at one point. It was that kind of run that led them to a huge victory against a very tough opponent in the Blue Jays. Jordan, I know you're chomping at the bit to talk some Gonzaga hoops.
I mean,
yeah, go for it.
I mean, yeah, I'm Seattle native here. When you talk about basketball in Washington specifically, we don't got an NBA team. Gonzaga is the powerhouse team there. So, I mean, it's no surprise they came out hot for the season. They've had several NCAA tournament appearances. I don't think they've missed the tournament since 2020. And that
was when everyone missed it, by the way.
Exactly.
Because of COVID.
So there you go. And I mean, yeah, this Gonzaga team has a strong legacy. Like you said, they beat Creighton, a ranked team, by the way, number 23 in the country, 90-63 yesterday. So, I mean, this Sentinel squad has come out 2-0, I believe, I mean, this should be a good one for real.
Yeah, and last year 88-80 was the final score in favor of Gonzaga. But we all know what happened last year with that team. There was not a whole lot of cohesion. This year it feels like they're much more of a team together, and you got to point your finger at Masamba Diop. I mean, he has just been absolutely dynamite to start the season, and he has been nationally recognized now for his play. 7'1", going step-back threes. I mean, Victor Wembanyama is the only name that comes to mind for me that can do that. It's impressive names to be a part of.
Yeah, and even a recent analogy that I've made, I haven't necessarily seen it online, but just watching the style of play that he brings every day is Kaman Malawach, who was just drafted by the Phoenix Suns, the hometown Phoenix Suns, and had an incredible year at Duke. A similar type frame. I think he's even a better outside shooter in terms of the type of player and skill set that he brings to Arizona State than Kaman Malawach did. It has been so fun to see him play. You were on the call for Blaze Radio in the very first game against Southern Utah. What are 3 key takeaways that stood out to you watching Diop?
He blocks the ball unbelievably. He had that run that was 2 in 10 seconds, maybe, probably less. His versatility is really good. He can get up and down the field better than a lot of the players on not just the country, but ASU's team, even though he's 7'1". Like, you don't see a player like that come around too often. And just he's able to do a lot of different things that some of the players on ASU just can't. I mean, he is a very effective player standing at 7'1", and he puts a lot of pieces together that a lot of players in the nation can't.
And there's a familiar face coming to Tempe. Bobby Hurley said today it's going to be a little weird playing against him on the other side. Adam Miller. Adam Miller has been to a couple of different schools during his collegiate career, played 2 years at Arizona State, and as you mentioned a little bit earlier, Colgin, the last 2 years have been a little all over the place, a roller coaster to say the least. And another thing that Bobby Hurley has said time and time again is that his mind is a little bit more free, and he's able to coach this team and not necessarily have to think about certain drawbacks or certain egos that some players have. These guys did not have a lot of these guys had very low expectations according to a lot of big national outlets in terms of where they could potentially stand or rank in the Big 12, and they haven't reached that type of play yet, but they've looked incredibly impressive, and to say the least, Jordan, they're very hungry coming into this game against Gonzaga and obviously the rest of the season too. I
mean, like you said, I think they have something the last time that they met, it was a really close victory for the Bulldogs, 80-88 final score. I mean, and they started the season very similar last year, coming out with 2 wins, and then, we all know how that season kind of ended up. So I think they're going to have something to prove here to kind of start out hotter and kind of keep that going if they can get this win over Gonzaga, which they couldn't get done last time around. They have a huge chip on their shoulder. Again, mentioned earlier in the women's basketball segment that entire team got revamped. Not only that, but their head coach, Bobby Hurley, has been at ASU. He's now in year 11 and doesn't have a contract that extends outside of this year. This is a massive season for Arizona State. And not only that, but the fact that this team has low expectations, I think in a way that could help free his mind a little bit. He's obviously said that there's a number of things internally that he hasn't had to deal with as much in terms of the egos, which I mentioned earlier. But I think the chip on their shoulder that they have and the fact that they don't necessarily have the target on their back, a lot of the players have said, including Mo Odom in particular and Pig Johnson, have said that they want to shock a lot of people. And this opportunity on Friday, it doesn't get any bigger than that.
No, and this game and against Georgia State, these two games at home are pretty important for the Sun Devils. Obviously, the Gonzaga game is a opponent that is pretty solid, nationally ranked, and going up against Georgia State, like that has to be a win for Arizona State basketball. They have to beat Georgia State because then they go and play Hawaii. They play Texas. They're playing in Hawaii, which I think is incredible that they get to go and play in Hawaii personally. But it's going to be an incredible opportunity for this team to really go out there and change some people's minds about Arizona State basketball. Get back to some of those days of the James Harden. Not saying anyone on this team is really that level of skill quite yet, but maybe they're trying to change some people's minds and turn themselves into that James Harden-esque.
It seems like that they're having a piece that they can build around in Jop. And a lot of freshmen that are incoming don't have the type of experience and background that Jop has had. He's 7'1", as we mentioned, from Senegal, I believe, and he has professional experience in Spain, and this whole NIL landscape has changed everything, and that's not necessarily a factor for Diop necessarily, that he was going to be making an absurd amount of money and that it was hard to bring him in, but it's the fact that he has this international experience that not a lot of guys can say that they've had entering college, and he could potentially be a one and done, a very exciting young prospect that they're able to build around. So Bobby Hurley and co. off to a red hot start. They're 2-0 and have that massive matchup on Friday. It can't get any bigger than Gonzaga, one of the powerhouses in college basketball over the last couple decades, enter Tempe and play at Desert Financial Arena. And then after a game against Georgia State, a swing in Hawaii. Aiden O'Neill, you're producing tonight. Can't see you on camera, but I'm sure you're going to have an excellent time out there in the islands. But 2-0 for Bobby Hurley and co. Stay with us. We'll be right back with some ASU football.
But it's the third year in a row that Ethan's gotten me the same set of pencils. I really don't even know, like, what he's thinking. Like, maybe he thinks I collect them or something?
Well, he's gotten me a notebook for 2 years. I take my notes on my computer.
Well, you did tell him, like, you like the movie The Notebook.
That's a little out of context, don't you think? Oh. Parker, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Oh, hey, what time is it?
It's 9:24.
Oh, that's not too bad. It's 4 hours. I usually sleep better on the weekends anyways.
The weekends?
Parker, it's Thursday.
Oh, shoot. Sorry, I'm late, you guys.
Oh. Is he gonna be okay?
I think so. We probably should have asked him what month it was, though. Last time I caught him Christmas shopping, and it was February.
Back live here in Tempe, Arizona at Memorial Union, and I got ahead of myself just a little bit because there's some really exciting hockey this weekend that's going down in North Dakota. Colgin, I'm going to go to you first because you're going to be there on hand calling games for Blaze Radio. Arizona State just 3-6-1 coming into a huge series matchup against the number 6 team in the country that they've played continually over the last couple years.
Yeah, the Sun Devils are going to be traveling to Grand Forks for the first time in program history to play North Dakota. Last weekend, it wasn't so great for Greg Powers and his team. Won in the shootout against Colorado College, then had a loss in regulation against that same team the night after. It's been just a season of incomplete games. They haven't been able to fully finish a game. They haven't been able to play a full 60 minutes. I mean, every coach here at Arizona State loves to throw that line out there, but it's been so true for Arizona State. When their offense gets hot, their defense is not. When their special teams is good, which it really hasn't been a whole lot during the season, the rest of the team kind of falls apart. They just need to bring it together and bring some cohesion. And the goaltenders have brought that. Samuel Urban played incredible last weekend, deserved to probably get a win in regulation, but he's been a bright spot for this Arizona State team. Jordan, I know you're also a pretty big puck knower as myself, and it just from your standpoint, what have you seen from that?
I mean, just the amount of third period meltdowns, I think, is the biggest thing you can take away from this team at this so far into the season. They've gone into I don't know how many games into the third period with the lead, and they somehow find a way and come out with the loss. You saw that in both times against Penn State, and you've seen it. That's kind of been the big thing all season. Like you said, it's the full 60, and they just haven't been able to do it all season. So that's a big thing that this Sun Devil squad needs to kind of figure out what's not meshing there, specifically in the third, and figure it out, because that's been the main killer for them so far.
They hosted Colorado College last weekend. They split games, and they got off to a very slow start in both of them. They let up all 3 goals that they allowed in the entire game in the first period. They were able to come back and win. So the opposite narrative of some of the other games that you mentioned a little bit, Jordan. So speak a little bit to the fight that you saw in that game to be able to pull out a win in shootout fashion, but obviously tying it up in regulation to even have the game allow it, or have to allow the game to even reach that point.
I mean, it's just, I mean, not to sound like that, but you got to get pucks in deep, right? You get pucks on net. You just, the consistent persistence, I think, also has been a thing that Greg Powers has been kind of saying all season is one of their strengths is their perseverance and their fight, I guess. So, I mean, that's one of the big things, I think, as well.
Yeah, the relentlessness is the word that he's thrown out there pretty much in every press conference. That's kind of the tradition of this year, is they want to be relentless. And that was the one game that you mentioned, the shootout win, was the only game that they were really relentless in. It was their only 2-goal comeback at any point in the entire season so far. Every time they've trailed by 2 or more, they've lost and haven't come back from it. In that game, though, it was very effective for them. Bennett Shimmick tied it up with under 2 minutes left, and then the shootout win, which doesn't really do a whole lot for you nationally, but in the NCHC, that extra point is always so crucial for the shootout win.
They were in a 2-goal deficit in the next game against Colorado College. They were down 2-0. They scored a goal, and then there was an empty netter in the end. So how can the Sun Devils and Greg Powers ensure that they get off to a quicker start as opposed to falling behind so early?
It's just, you need to do the little things right. You can't oversimplify the game. And one of the players that's done that really well is Cruz Lucius. 8 goals, 10 games for him this season. He has been so effective for the Sun Devils. And with Jack Beck now fully back in the lineup, he's had 4 games under his belt after his eligibility suspension after coming over from the ECHL. He's going to really start to mesh. He's been playing well with Colin Potter, who's gotten off to a slow start this season, and Johnny Waldron on the other side. And those 3 are going to be probably the top line that Greg Powers is going to look for in this series against North Dakota.
I mean, yeah, and I think a big thing starting out the season was Greg Powers kind of did express not disappointment, but in their vets, right? They weren't the ones stepping up. You got a lot of those young guys coming out. I mean, Sam Alfano had a crazy weekend. I think the second or third series that they had, Sam Alfano, that kind of kid line. Colin Potter kind of stepped up a little bit, but it's been Bennett Shimmick and Cruz Lucius who have kind of taken it away there. Bennett Shimmick with 13 points, 4 goals, 9 assists, and Cruz Lucius with 12 points with 8 goals and 4 assists. And Colin Potter quite far behind them with 6 points in the standings with 1 goal and 5 assists. And I think he's going to be a key player that needs to step up, especially if they want to start winning more games.
Yeah, and that 1 goal was an empty netter. He hasn't scored on a goalie yet this season. So Greg Powers has said that he's not too worried about Colin Potter's performance, as he's picked up a lot in the two-way side, but he was the first-round draft pick in Arizona State history for hockey, and he has 1 goal that was on an empty net. It's got to pick up if the Sun Devils want to start winning games, because he's their main offensive guy.
And the competition is only going to get more stiff. North Dakota this weekend, number 6 team in the country. I'm sure you've done a lot of prep, and you're going to continue to do more prep as you make your way out to North Dakota tomorrow. So that type of team, they've been a powerhouse for a long time, and amongst some of the best teams in the country. What do you see from them that makes them difficult to play against?
Yeah, they're just a really impressive team. They do a lot of the good things right. They just fired their head coach last season after missing the NCAA tournament. But this season, they've gotten off to a 7-3 start. They've looked really good to start the season, and they're just going to keep it going with all their depth that they have.
I mean, they're the first team. They're number 1 in the NCHC, right? It's not going to be an easy win, and they've been good previously. So, I mean, they're 3-1 in conference play, 7-3 and 0 overall. I mean, they're a tough team to go against, especially in this NCHC kind of landscape.
All right, some road tests on tap for Greg Powers and company. Safe travels tomorrow to North Dakota. I'm sure that 2-game swing is going to be a lot of fun. And now we get down to business, folks. On the other side, we're going to talk ASU football. A huge matchup with the West Virginia Mountaineers, who are riding on a high. They've won their last 2 games, and definitely don't want to sleep on them. So Arizona State and West Virginia preview on the other side. All right, we welcome you back for the final time here at Memorial Union, Tempe, Arizona. We're going to be talking about if there was a WWE event, this would be the main event of the evening. Arizona State taking on West Virginia. West Virginia is not exactly that Texas Tech type opponent that's coming into town, but every game is going to be so important down the stretch individually, and West Virginia is on tap this weekend. And they're towards the bottom of the Big 12, but it's not going to matter because the Mountain America Stadium is going to show out in full force, and Jeff Sims is playing quarterback.
You need this team to ball out this upcoming game. I mean, if there's ever been a must-win game, this is the one. Obviously, just because you're straight up eliminated if you lose this game. Like, I don't know the math behind it, but I'm pretty sure if they lose this game, they can't make the Big 12 championship. But even so, like, it's a long shot as is. And if you're Kenny Dillingham, Jeff Sims is your go-to guy. You need this man to play as well as he did against Iowa State last week. You need to have him have the same performance without Jordan Tyson, without Xavier Alford on defense. You need him to be your best player on the field.
I mean, yeah, just Jeff Sims had an absolutely incredible outing in Iowa State. I mean, 228 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, threw for 177 yards. I mean, you want to see him kind of build off of that, and I think, this offense has kind of struggled all year in the sense with their receiving depth, but this Jeff Sims has to produce at least the same, if not better, this week than he did in Iowa.
29 carries, 228 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, including an 88-yard touchdown in the third quarter that continued to hike up the lead for the Sun Devils, and eventually they were able to hold on against Iowa State. Over 400 yards of total offense. We're not talking about Sam Levitt. We're talking about Jeff Sims. And the only reason why he's not the reigning AP National Player of the Week is because they were on a bye last week. So they got an extra week to prepare against a West Virginia opponent. No Jordan Tyson. I think it's something that they expected. Obviously, he didn't play in the Iowa State game, and so this is nothing new for Jeff Sims and company. What do you expect from the Sun Devils against West Virginia in terms of receiver depth without Jordan Tyson?
Well, I think for Jeff Sims, I think he's going to be looking for his feet and less so for his receivers. He's going to be using that run game a lot. 359 passing yards on the season, 330 rushing yards. He uses his feet pretty much almost as much as he uses his arm. He's basically another halfback in that backfield, and they need him to do a lot of the same without some of your star power on offense like Jordan Tyson. And when you have a player of Jeff Sims' abilities, when he can run the ball as well as he does, you really need to take advantage of that and really be able to use that skill and maybe not so much lean on the passing game without Jordan Tyson.
I mean, like you said, Colgin, this rushing offense is going to be key, whether that is Sam Levitt or that is Raleek Brown.
Wait, whoa. We wish there was Sam Levitt.
Sims.
You said Sam Levitt by accident.
I mean, Jeff Sims, my bad. I don't know where that came from. But
all good.
Jeff Sims, whether that is Jeff Sims, whether that is Raleek Brown, the rushing offense is going to be the main key to this team moving the change downfield, finding the back of the end zone. But also, I think you have some depth in Shimon Mateer, tight end. He's second on the team in receiving yards with 349 and 3 touchdowns, which ASU has had, I think, 12 receiving touchdowns. 8 of them have been to Jordan Tyson, and he has not played since. I can't even remember, but Shimon Mateer has 3 of those as well. We saw what Malik McClain can do when he was given the opportunity against Houston. After having kind of a subpar beginning to the season, I think he's definitely an option downfield as well. But yeah, I think this rushing offense is going to be what really moves the chains for this Sun Devil squad.
Yeah, and speaking on that stat about Shimon Mateer, there's been 12 passing touchdowns this season for either quarterback. 8 to Jordan Tyson, who hasn't played since Texas Tech, 3 to Shimon Mateer, 1 to Cameron Harpel. There has not been a single other wide receiver to catch a touchdown for Arizona State besides Jordan Tyson this season. That just shows you either the ability level of the other wide receivers or just Kenny Dillingham's confidence in his receiving core. if you're not going to throw the ball to your receivers in the end zone, you're going to be using your feet. And West Virginia is going to know that. So their goal line defense is going to be run, run, run the entire time.
And Cameron Harpool caught a touchdown, I believe, was it in the Houston game?
I believe it was
he
the
caught
Yeah, I
Houston
think
in
it
the
was
loss.
the Houston.
He's a tight end. He's not even a wide receiver. I did some digging a couple weeks ago to see who was the last wide receiver to catch a touchdown that wasn't Jordan Tyson. Could you guys come up with a guess?
Is it Derek Eusebio?
It was Derek
Yes.
Eusebio.
In the
Territorial Cup.
Territorial Cup. Yep.
You are the quickest
is
person I've
elite ball
asked
knowledge.
to be able to
Elite
get that.
ball
That is
knowledge.
elite ball knowledge right there from Jordan Talley.
Well, that was
Shout out.
That was his first receiving touchdown as a Sun Devil, and
And his only.
Yeah, there you go.
And it came on his only catch of the 2024 season. Who threw that pass?
Was it Jeff Sims?
It was not.
Oh,
Was it Camp Scattaboo? No.
It was
no,
not.
that
not
was
one
in
of
the
those
Peach
plays?
Bowl.
That was
Aiden O'Neal or can you guys? It was
Oh,
Trenton
my God.
Bourget.
Trenton. That's
You got.
right.
We have to go all the way
Quarterbacks
back. I mean,
coach?
you were able to get the date. You were able to get the receiver. It was Trenton Bourget
Okay.
who threw that almost a year ago. I feel like I'm almost preparing in my mind for the Territorial Cup game to come up this time around. It's in 2 weeks, which I'll also be on the call for Blaze Radio as the one this weekend for West Virginia. But that's the last time a receiver not named Jordan Tyson has caught a touchdown.
a wide receiver.
Absolutely insane.
I mean, that's just this team has been run solely on Jordan Tyson, and this team would need him in this game. But Jeff Sims, man, he needs the ball out. I mean, West Virginia is not a top opponent like Texas Tech, but you can't ever sleep on an opponent. ASU has been caught like that before, and you just can't be caught again.
I mean, also just another, Raleek Brown has also been absolutely on fire. He's been the go-to guy in the backfield. 770 yards so far this season, 3 touchdowns. He is going to be key to that. Also, a quick little nugget here. Raleek Brown leads the team in rushing yards, but Jeff Sims is second with 330 this season. So
And it helps with 228 in the last game.
exactly.
Guess who's third?
So, I see it. Sam Levitt.
I don't have it in front of me. I
Sam
was going to say
Levitt.
Sam
Sam Levitt.
Yep.
So, I mean, lots of stuff to figure out this week specifically, because I think this will give the Sun Devils a little bit more of a run for their money than they're expecting. But yeah.
None of us scripted the conversation. I think you guys at home, none of you guys that are watching right now scripted our conversation to predecessor around Derek Eusebio and that touchdown catch last season. But before we end this edition of Blaze Game Day, predictions. Jordan, starting with you.
Oh, wow. I don't know if I'm really bad at final score predictions, but I think this is how it's going to go. I think it's going to be closer than people are expecting it to be. But I do think the Sun Devils are going to come out on top, if not maybe going into the second half down or into the fourth
I would assume
quarter
that considering it's
down.
been every game this season.
Exactly, but I think they're going to be I feel like a lot of their, I think minus Mississippi, which was an absolutely different level, but they've been a second half team this season. I think
Absolutely.
And I think Houston could have gone the Sun Devils' way if they had just a tiny bit more time in that fourth quarter. So I think don't have a final score prediction from me, but it's going to be closer than you think.
No, you gotta give it.
We need
You gotta
a
give it.
final score
Final
prediction.
score?
No pressure.
You have
no
to.
pressure.
Oh my gosh.
have to.
I have no idea. I'm gonna go 21 to 34.
So ASU 34-21.
Yeah, I think.
Those type of predictions, by the way, with less thought, can actually
There
provoke
you go. Okay, that's it
the
then.
inevitable, maybe.
34-21 ASU with a big second half for the Sun Devils.
Okay. Colgin.
28-21 in overtime for ASU. First regular season overtime game for Kenny Dillingham is going to end with a win, and they're not going to go cover 0 in overtime.
You beat me to it on the cover 0 part, and you beat me to it on the last time, or the only time there was an overtime game in the Kenny Dillingham era, which was the Peach Bowl against Texas, that 4th and forever when Matthew Golden scored a touchdown in the back of the end zone in Atlanta. I will never forget that. Sun Devil fans will never forget that. Can the moderator come up with a prediction? Or I'm on the call. I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
Come up with it.
I got
You got
the
it.
okay.
You
I
got
got the
it.
green light.
You got it.
I am going to go 28 Arizona State, 27 West Virginia.
Okay.
Wow.
And I think it's going to be one of those things where West Virginia is down in the fourth quarter. There's some garbage time type stuff, and then too little too late in the end. Too little, too late in the end.
I like
think
that prediction.
I do too.
I
don't-
really like that.
They don't have timeouts at their disposal in the end. Rich Rodriguez and company, who, by the way, a crazy journey for him. He was at West Virginia 20 years ago, left that school, and now is back with West Virginia after leaving Jacksonville State. I can't wait for this matchup. The one last thing I wanted to say, which will be quick, is that this is Jeff Sims' first time he's starting at home. That's one thing we didn't mention. This is his first start at home, so I'm sure he is more excited than anyone else to go out and perform at Mountain America Stadium.
I can't wait to watch Jeff Sims this game. It's going to be
And
so
you're going to be
good.
watching from North Dakota. Will you be there for the game?
I will. I'm actually doing photo for Blaze Radio, so I will be there on the sidelines.
Fantastic. We're all going to be there. All right, that's going to do it for Blaze Game Day. For Jordan Talley, Colgin Hirschel, and Koby Braunstein, that'll do it for us here at Memorial Union in Tempe, Arizona. A huge weekend of Sun Devil sports on tap. Can't wait to see what happens.